Now, to start off with, let's get the most important gun out of the way. It's the shotguns. So we've kept the pump, no need to worry. Everyone's favorite still in there, but they've brought back a controversial gun. They've brought back the charge. The charge is something I'm personally not a fan of, and I understand why other people might be a fan of it. It hits hard. There's a little bit of skill gap to it. The way you get a charge is essentially the same way that you got a lever last season. You take a lever this time instead of the pump, and you craft it with nuts and bolts, which you can find both from floor spawns and from the red toolboxes that are floating around the map. But I think if the pump's in the game, I think you'd have to press me to use the charge or force me to use it. And then, of course, the lever's there as well. I'd use the lever over the charge as well, but it's cool that they're doing something a little bit different. We're seeing 3 different shotguns that you can play with in 3 different playstyles coming into the game, and I really like that. It allows for a few more different playstyles to be catered to. People who enjoy the charge and the way that you can play around it can play with that, and people who are going for their clips, for their targes, and just other people who prefer the pump can be using that as well. And if for some reason you've got someone who's a little bit in between the two, who likes the lever, they have that option as well. Now onto what I would regard as the second most influential gun in the game, the ARs. Firstly, the bursts now aren't crafted, they can actually just simply be found on the ground, so the FAMAS, and then of course the much lauded AUG are back and able to be found on the ground. Finally, we've had the AK vaulted. I hate that gun. I think it's completely useless, and the fact that it's gone makes me very happy. And last but not least, probably one of the more exciting things, the silenced guns are back. So I'm not too sure exactly how this will be implemented into comp, whether or not it'll have too much an effect. I don't think the silenced guns were as good as people really made them out to be. I think it's probably more one of those nostalgia things. However, if there's a point of difference where potentially have smaller bloom, or they can actually be used to maybe get some shots off that are genuinely silent, you're not going to hear where the shots are coming from, it could be used in a very useful way, both in pub matches and in comp. Now, the first alien-y sort of gun that we're seeing is called the Sideways Rifle. This gun is not good. The only thing that is redeeming about it is that it seems to have really good bloom. It doesn't have first shot accuracy. It doesn't do that great damage, to be honest. And as a side weapon, when you switch to it, it doesn't shoot very fast either. So you don't really gain much from using this gun. So although it's cool and you can upgrade it using alien parts, I don't see it being in comp. In casual play, though, it can be pretty fun as something that you use that is just a little bit different. It doesn't have a reload animation. It seems to just overheat, and then it does this little cocking thing where it seems to like unheat itself and you can use it again. That happens if you continuously shoot for 25 shots. So those are the main changes to the 2 most influential guns in the game, the ARs and the shotguns. Of course, with the TAC being gone, we are going to see a slight change in play styles. I think we're going to see a lot more careful play from comp players in general. With the TAC, you can kind of get in a 50-50 a little bit if you're a controller player, or if you're someone who does aim train a lot or has a lot of confidence in their aim. So what we're going to start to see now is a lot more right hands, a lot more window peeks, stuff that is going to just make people play slightly slower to play to that charge, pump, lever playstyle that is really rewarded. Now, in terms of other loot pool that will affect comp in the coming season, look for the harpoon now. The harpoon was something that was removed last season. I was a big fan of that until we saw that there wasn't a huge amount of movement in the lobby, which meant that there was a huge emphasis on finding refreshes, and if you didn't have the harpoon to do that without finding kills, we started seeing people going down in that sort of 20th to 30th range, where people couldn't find the refreshes that they were relying on the harpoon in Season 6 with. So what I'm expecting to see this season is a huge resurgence of the harpoon, and a huge resurgence of that not necessarily needing to get a refresh playstyle where you can look back tarp and find refreshes without having to go for a kill. So I'm expecting to see another big push for a first place from Jark, Acorn, and Slacks. I'm also expecting to see that from players such as Censored, Commandment, and Edgy, who really have a big advantage by playing on low ground, and then also having access to a harpoon where they don't necessarily have to go out back and find the kills, but they can essentially control space, look back, and find the refreshes without actually having to get in and find them themselves. Now, in terms of the other guns that I don't think are as influential to the competitive loot pool, but some of you pub players or more casual players out there might enjoy them, the submachine guns, which of course you tend to associate more with the controller players or console players because of the aim assist sort of thing. You tend to use them in close box-to-box scenarios, and therefore you tend to see those players more use them.
Huh?
The silenced SMGs are gone, which I don't think we'll see too many cries of appeal against that. The P90 is still in the game. That means that those players can really get in your face, which I'm sure a lot of you don't like, but I'm also sure that those players do like. However, one thing that also isn't untouched is the fact that you can craft rapid-fire submachine guns out of your regular SMG. So although the silent sub is gone, the rapid fire is still in the game, as is the P90, which I'm sure, like I said, a lot of people are pretty happy about. In terms of pistols, it feels like they're unchanged. I did pull a blue pistol out of a chest, so we might be seeing a few of those in chests a little bit more. I'm not happy about that. I don't think anyone will be happy about that. It also tells me that we mightn't have lost the purple pistols from the drops and the god chests as well, which again, a little bit frustrating for me. I feel like the pistols don't really have any place either in the pub/casual meta or the competitive meta. I just feel like they're kind of there, not really doing anything. So we'll just have to see how it plays out this season. Another thing to note about the pistols, the hand cannons are gone. I'm a little bit upset about this one. I feel like this one actually had a little bit of a place in the competitive meta, and of course it's a good fun gun to use running more casual games. The fact that you can use it as kind of like a pump swap kind of gun, which got a little bit of rhythm to it, is quite good fun. And also in competitive, we started to see it used a little bit more for Surge. If you watch any of Power Worthy's games, you'll see that he uses it quite a bit to pick up 50 tags, 100 tags on the head every now and then. It's a really good Surge gun to use for the people who have that really, really high tier aiming ability. So I'm a little bit sad to see it go. I think it did occupy a nice little niche in the meta, so to see it go I'm a little bit sad, but it's fine, we move on. Now, another really important part of the game is, of course, the sniper rifles. I would love to say that I have found a sniper rifle and that I know exactly how to get a hunting rifle and that I know that there is a gun other than the auto rifle that I've seen. But the only thing that I've found so far is the automatic sniper. That is literally it. I haven't seen anything else. I've heard that the hunting rifle's back, but I don't know how to get it. I haven't seen it. If someone can tell me where they've seen it and how the hell I'm supposed to get it, the only other gun that I can think of is the Dragon's Breath sniper, which you can buy from Boney. I've bought that. That is the only other sniper that I've seen. So aside from the auto snipers, I really don't think there is anything else in the game. I haven't seen it. I haven't come across it at all. If you do, let me know so that I can correct this in a later post, in a later video. But after playing probably like, I've queued into about 40 games at this stage, and I haven't seen or found a single one other than the auto sniper. Now, the auto sniper is an interesting gun. It's got 16 bullets in the clip, and of course, it ranges in damage across your different levels. If you're at blue, you're going to hit 31 damage per shot. If you're at gold, you're going to hit 35 damage per shot. So I don't see this being overly useful. I think it's going to serve some sort of purpose, but I think towards comp meta and, of course, the casual pub meta, I don't think we're going to see too much use out of it other than this first few days as we get used to how it works. But I could be wrong on that. That's just my impression of it as I've used it so far. Now, this isn't essentially weapons, but it's a really good thing to note for W King and players who like to play aggressive. The helmet, that I like to call it, or the parasite, is finally gone. It really dominated a lot of last season's meta, particularly in comp, and even in pubs, I saw a lot of people running around with it because it was so powerful. So I'm glad to see it gone. I think it really allows now for you to play a little bit more aggressive without having to rely on it. And if you are being aggressed on, it's not as scary because when you were up against someone with it, you knew that you had to hit them hard in the head to get rid of it to get on with your game. So, super glad those are gone. However, another thing to note, 100% chest spawns aren't quite here. I think they're relatively close though. I get the impression that we might be at like 90% chest spawns. I have hardly ever come across a chest spawn that hasn't been there. Fantastic addition. If it's not 100%, I'm glad that we're somewhat close. I think that is something that's been really missing from the game since we've had it removed. Super sad about how we had it removed, but I'm really glad that we're back to some semblance of consistency from the chests that we're getting. And now, last thing to note, again, this isn't to do with the weapons, but it is definitely pertinent to the new update. The lag that we're getting is unbelievable. I was spiking from 300 ping to 1200 to over 10,000 at one point. It was absolutely crazy, so keep an eye on that. I hope that they make some sort of fix towards that. Obviously, a lot of that sometimes is out of their control, but when you've got a lot of people playing, it can be a little bit difficult, of course, to maintain numbers. So just keep an eye out for that. I think if you're playing pubs pretty seriously, or even an arena, say you're making a grind, and we're still aware of the situation, it might be good to constantly play from boxes. I know I'm talking about a pretty niche scenario here, but if you're playing constantly from box to box, it means that you've always got a little safe haven that you can play from. Do the DJ Classic, make 2 or 3 boxes, and make sure that you've got somewhere safe to play from. But that's it for the update, guys, in terms of weapons. Not much actually changing, but a lot of stuff that will affect the meta. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you next time.